Welcome to Testosterothon. 28 movies so manly, they'll give your biceps mustaches. Well, let's start off with the Rocky movies, which honestly is slightly ironic. I mean, when you think of real manly movies, Rocky does come to mind, but the original film? It's kind of a chick flick for dudes. Allow me to explain. Rocky is an underdog story about a small-time semi-pro boxer who through blind circumstance gets a shot at the highest title there is in boxing, the heavyweight championship of the world, by fighting against the current champion, Apollo Creed, a character somewhat loosely based off of Muhammad Ali. So basically, it's a sports drama, right? I mean, it has all the hallmarks, the underdog story, the impossible odds, the training montage. But at its heart, Rocky is also a love story, as the interactions between Rocky Balboa and his love interest Adrian, played by Talia Shire, take precedent over the boxing. There's only 2 boxing scenes in the movie. In the beginning, Rocky is fighting in a club against a washed-up has-been named Spider Rico, and in the end he fights Apollo. Most of the movie is more character-driven than anything else. Rocky boxes, but he doesn't make a lot of money for it, so he also works as a low-level criminal, an enforcer for a loan shark. But he's a likable guy who has decent morals, just doesn't seem to think very highly of himself. He spends a lot of time in the local pet shop because Adrian works there and he's trying to get her attention, but she's painfully shy to the point where people in the neighborhood think she's mentally challenged. Rocky gets a date with her through her brother Paulie, who he's friends with, and eventually she has a breakthrough and comes out of her shell more. Meanwhile, Apollo Creed has been promoting a fight that won't happen, as his challenger is backed out due to an injury and he can't get a replacement. So he comes up with the gimmick of giving an unknown fighter a shot at the championship, and picks Rocky based on his name, the Italian Stallion. Rocky trains for the fight, but also wrestles with self-doubt, and eventually decides that instead of shooting for a win, he'll try to go for the distance, lasting 15 rounds against Apollo, which nobody has done before. Rocky is deliberately paced, subtle movie that focuses on the character himself and not just your typical underdog movie because it's based on reality somewhat. Stallone wrote the movie himself and based Rocky's struggles on his own trying to break into acting. Rocky is a fighter, but he is seen by his trainer Mickey as a waste of life because he has a talent and instead of nurturing it, he breaks thumbs for a loan shark. It's about someone who is downtrodden finding the drive to become something more, and that no matter what, there's always a chance. The ending fight scene against Apollo Creed is thrilling and extremely well choreographed, and in the end, you can witness what I think is one of the greatest endings ever in a movie, as Rocky and Adrian call out to each other after the battle has been fought, not listening to who won or even caring, as he had set his goal and accomplished it. It doesn't matter if Creed won, because he won the hearts of everyone watching and everyone in the audience. These days, it's easy to define Rocky by its sequels, which escalated each time to the point where the 4th one was about Rocky basically defeating communism by punching hard. And I'll talk about that when I get to it, of course, but the original movie is a beautiful story that has something for everyone. It's a sports drama by genre, but it has elements of romance, comedy, tragedy, and it could best be described as a modern fable. Yes, eventually the character became a sort of superhero with action figures, video games, and the consistently more bombastic sequels, but let's not forget where it all came from. A low-budget, indie-style film that the writer and the main star had to fight for just as much as the character had to fight in the film, and was rewarded with a rising star and an Academy Award for Best Picture, which I think is well-deserved. Now for this feature, I'll be giving each film 2 scores. The first will be on the Machismo Meter, ranking how manly the film is, and the second will be the actual score that I typically give. On the Machismo Meter, Rocky gets a 6. It's pretty manly as it's about boxing, and Rocky is a relatable character who's just trying to get the girl and win a boxing match, but yes, this is a dramatic film that may make you well up with emotion. But for an actual score, Rocky gets a 10. It's one of the best films of the 70s and a total classic.